Now, Burundi's government has declared that the first stage of controversial elections will be held next week, despite the ongoing political crisis in the African nation. Burundi's Interior Ministry says the boycotting of elections by some factions will have no effect on the vote. Burundi's influential Catholic Church has withdrawn its support for the polls. The country's opposition leader has said his FNL party will also boycott the elections. The parliamentary vote is slated for June 5th and the presidential election for June 26th. Burundi has been in turmoil since incumbent President Pierre Nkurunziza announced that he would run for a third term in office. Well, let's go to Washington and talk to Dr. Randy Short, Pan-African Affairs expert. Welcome to the program, sir. Dr. Short, the government remains defiant in the face of the protests inside the country. Even if the elections can be held without any incident, will it end the crisis? Because obviously the results may lead to even more violence.
Well, the crisis may be international, and the way that the Western media has shaped this is as if it's just one bad man that needs to leave office. We've seen this before in Ivory Coast and in Libya and in Mali. And so what's really going on is that the government of Burundi has tried to get closer to China, Japan, India, and Brazil. And this government is a reform government that has been resisting the imperatives of the United States, Great Britain, and France in terms of stealing the wealth of both provinces in Congo, Kivu North and Kivu South. So this is what this is about. They don't care anything about the lives of Burundians. Samantha Powers is friends with one of the people in the opposition, Sun Hije. This is an American color revolution. They're trying to do a Ukraine in Burundi. That's what this is.
But Dr. Short, the church has withdrawn its support, but of course foreign countries, especially the West, are also putting pressure. Right. But Dr. Short
supported the genocide in Rwanda. They are on the side of the Tutsi minority governments that have served the interests of the West to steal from Africa.
But I mean, why is this crisis in Burundi so important to foreign countries, especially the West?
It's important. It's the resources that they're taking out of Congo. Burundi is a conduit into Congo. Burundi is one of the poorest countries in the world. They don't have anything. They care as much about Burundi as they do about the people in Baltimore that were rioting a few weeks ago. This is a sham. It's a shibboleth. What is an effort to do is to steal from sovereign nations in Africa and to compete with the Chinese and the BRICS countries to hold on to Africa as a treasure house for the benefit of white Western powers. That's all this is. And the Catholic Church is a white supremacist institution. In fact, the Catholic Church sanctioned the mass murder and mass enslavement of African people. They had what was called the Asiento. The Catholic Church has no morality when it comes to how black people have been treated the last 2,000 years by this church. 1700, I'm sorry.
Right, Dr. Short, how do you think this crisis, this problem in Burundi can be addressed?
It can be addressed by the BRICS countries. Russia has taken a stand. They need to make certain that there's no intervention in that country. No more Libyas. No more attacking like the government of Ivory Coast under Gbagbo. They need to keep these fake civil society people who represent the interests of white supremacy and racism in Africa. They need to be removed. Africa needs to be for Africans. This man has been a good president relative to all the other presidents they've had in Burundi, who killed 150,000. Why is he such a bad guy? And why would Paul Kagame, another Tutsi CIA-trained dictator, mass killer, why is he a good guy? Think about what these Western people are doing. The killers are good, and the people that build schools and clinics like this president, they're bad. Like Chavez is bad. Like Gaddafi is bad. Anyone that looks out for the people is bad if the money isn't going into Western banks.
Indeed. Dr. Randy Short, Pan-African Affairs expert from Washington. As always, thanks for your thoughts there, sir.